Volps, Lil, Gut, Hli, Velil, Tiv, Zelmsky, Ely, Havivmaz is the chant that I'm going to use for Beltane 2025, which might also be pronounced Gvalps, Lil, Guth, Haler, Vel, Ted, Zilmska, Ele, Havivmaz, and one may notice that in that chant, we start with the word for death. And then we have black, our moon, and the bottom line, we have hate, white, our sun, and love. And we have two approximately tetrahedron stones. We have an agate bloodstone. Perhaps you can't see the little specks with it. Yes, I know bloodstones are usually jasper, but there are technically agate ones, and this is one such thing. We have a citrine quartz I use to represent the seasonals. We have the order of 9 angles pendant necklace, or whatever you're going to call it. And we notice, per se, 7 points on the outside, 2 inside. We have something that kind of reminds you of the ace of pentacles that Crowley used. We have that double ring representing something lunar, you could say, because the operations occur within spheres, within spheres, within spheres, right? We have the cleaning out or the directing of the spiritual towards something broader, and then, you know, perhaps implied after the inner paths, which we're going to address. I have my Enochian Wonders ring. I think I gave someone else one of the two that I made. We have a Lotus ring. I think this is the April-May moon is a very important thing to the time of year for the Buddhists. So I figured that was the ring I was going to choose for that. We have our fire symbol as a summoning triangle. The reference to hell and that sort of thing. And you can kind of go beyond some of the stuff. Some stuff relates more to the next seasonal, but we have our carnelian point. And remember, carnelian is one of those important things mentioned in the Book of the Dead. And because that thing's kind of like a containment bubble or some idea of a flying saucer or something, that kind of works in well. And we have the sigils, you could say, for the dark gods, as they're called. And we're going to get into that later because we do have an understanding of dark gods in terms of what the Greek pantheon. So Shugara is Artemis, Noctulius is Persephone, Nithra is Hecate, and those are the lunar paths if we're going to divide evenly, and we'll go over the more regular list later when we get to that. Ga with M is Athena. I don't have the Greek letters before me, so you'll have to excuse me for that. Nicala is Hermes. Abatu is Iris, and those are the Mercury paths. Venus, Karasamsu is Aphrodite. Osath is Dionysus. Nemaku is Eros. The solar paths. Saturnus is Helios. Vindex is Apollo. Why is that not Soroctonus? Because Soroctonus is one of the names of Apollo, but we'll let that slide for now. We'll get into that in another program. Atazoth is Helios. Oh, what is it? Hesha. So the Mars paths, we have Benon A, Demogorgon, Thana, RS. Well, that totally makes sense, right? You gotta include that one as part of the Mars stuff. Soroctonus is Phaistos. The Jupiter paths, we have Litigon, Zeus, Davchina, Poseidon, Mactoron, Demeter. And for the Saturn paths, Xanagon, Kronos, Vulpecula, Hades, Naos, Rhea. And I thought, as cheesy as that may seem to some people, I've selected some things as wands, and it rains more here, so having a wand with water in it, as and of course it's a fiery color and there's sparkle to it, and the way of viewing the stars is different this time of year versus the winter in particular. So it's just a wand. You can use whatever. And the containment bag, I'm not sure exactly what the containment bag is, but you can symbolize the fake gold and the hemp twine. If I didn't already mention, there's an idea of intention, provocation, goal in the term guff, and Teve is gray, I believe. And the seasonal point is Sunday, May 4th at 10:53 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And let me wait for this to occur. Yeah, 10:53. And so the sunset closest to that is the seasonal point. And so we will get into 333, 42, 96, and 108, 520, 28, and 115, 6, 45, 71, 86, 90, 162, 7, 54, 61, 67, 80, 104, 121, 140, 10, 10 and 37, 12, 104, 21, 71, 91 and 107, 25, 1, 26, 16, 23, 47, 77, 98, 109, 127, 145, 164. Oh, more from 26. 26, 165, 180, 192, 27, 8 and 44, 28, 30, 29, 6, 10, 15, and 28, 32, 2, 37, 79, 87, 182, 38, 87, 39, 85, 40, 64, 65, and 66, 41, 9, 43, 46, 45, 16, 56, 80, 59, 16, 68, 52, 69, 43, 82, 27, and 29, and 83, 6 from Al-Quran, from Hanukkah. We have Job 12:2 and 38:5, Ezekiel 40, 16, 24, 26, 28, 29, 34, 33, and 35, 42, 11, 46, 22, 48, 16, 1 Kings 7:37, 1 Chronicles 28, 15, 2 Chronicles 3:3, Ephesians 4:13, Revelations 21:16, 2:47. Oh, did I say from the Quran 2:47, 122, 131, and 251? But obviously, Ephesians and Revelations is not from Tanakh, it's from the Christian side of the Bible, but those are given the English names. We have the symbols to work in the inner sense and the outer sense. You know, the knees are as the moon. The left hand is as Mercury. The right hand is as Venus. The pelvis is as the sun. The left elbow is Mars. The right elbow, Saturn. The left shoulder, the left shoulder is Saturn. The right elbow is Jupiter. So we have Moon to Mercury, Noctulius. Moon to Venus, Mithra. Moon to Mars, Shugara. I don't know why the order is different in this. Rather than a sequence the whole time, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Sun, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, but it's scrambled right here. Moon to Sun is Shaitan. Moon to Jupiter is Apsah. Moon to Saturn is Azanagan. Mercury to Venus is Nakala. Mercury to Sun is Gawatham. Mercury to Mars is Banan Ath. Mercury to Jupiter is Litigan. Mercury to Saturn is Abatu. Venus to Sun, Karasamsu. Venus to Mars, Nemeku. Venus to Jupiter is Maktaron. Venus to Saturn is Vulpecula. Sun to Mars is Gathana. Sun to Jupiter is Episa. Sun to Saturn is Vindex. Mars to Jupiter is Devchina. Mars to Saturn is Saractanus. Jupiter to Saturn is Naos, and Moon to Earth is Alastaros. So you can give these whatever name you want. There is some difference of opinion which one should be to which tarot cards, and I certainly have and will present my opinions of that. What these particular symbols may mean to you in some sense or another. And one of the points of the ritual is to work these paths at once, whatever names you give them. And of course, it represents the 21 paths that the main dark gods, as they're called. It represents the 21 paths that you find in the Yazidi mythology, because they're the ones who invented this, connecting all the seven to the seven system, although there's not much in print about that. And so I've written quite a bit this year. The formula, which I may break into glossolalia at any particular time. When I do the actual contemplation sessions, I'm going to use these verses. And, whether you take part in that portion or not, you can use your own beliefs and intentions in directing these sorts of things. We love the little darkness and the brighter wildness. With this love, we practice and gain the insight of access. It unfolds with every dot, spiral, curve, angle, line, and cross. We are together, upraising, bearing, holding, lowering, and distinguishing what is professed. Hail with the trees and plants at night and the quivering sacredness, sequestering women and exploring men, expand what is confessed. Vibrations dance and symbolic constructions bring forth spontaneous awareness of above, below, within, without, positive, negative, and where else we have returned from this in between worlds 9 times, secured and moving around. For we are shamans, builders, alterers, sacrificers, singers, dancers, performers, and players. The outer astronomy and inner astrology pulls from and puts into these worlds. Blood and darkness flow for the warrior. Time is taken in strength for the tester. Accomplish and be a recuperator. Harvest, but be a continuer. Find fundamentals to be a striver. Be upon your way forever. Make the tools of an accelerator. Death is as fertilizer. From the loss of others, be a learner. Feelings and emotions are not the thing, but doing more. Be destroyers and creators. Be a lover of the good of this world and its denier. Illusion and delusion are to be overturned in the survivors. Magically, directly, and indirectly is every initiation. Experientially, more than functionally, is the parts of the situation. What are the actions and what does it mean to open the gates to the unknown worlds? We start and end with this Earth's gate and its possession. The challenge is revealed and necessary confrontation. Those merely for nobility and the forbidden have not yet completed the transformation. The old is going away and an end is coming for the pretenders. The wild, the accusers, and the transcenders have taken their character through the becoming. We have tapped into more than congregation and tradition. Remission is made of any repression or frustration. Soft and hard faced, no prescription. The white, red, and violet flames are opened by the dark conditions we have indulged and enjoyed before the deceiver's present scene. In ecstasy is the severing with a body and its feeder. The yellow light makes its illuminations towards the sun from the moon. The gate of a brother or daughter is open, and some of that is bounced off what are called the 21 satanic points. We have some other parts of the book mentioned not too long ago, the collected O&A manuscripts. But remember, like with a lot of these things, I am not, necessarily saying that this is one current. I'm, operating in certain areas, just like much of my content. And you don't have to become a member of any particular group or accept any particular belief to respond and go along. Because certainly, as I said, there is the I'm trying to find here what the other three words mean. Sometimes the meaning of the words comes quicker than the words themselves, if you know what I mean. And sometimes the other way around. And I repaint things a bit every year. And the yellow is permanent this year. And that symbol, just like the Alastaros symbol, this is the one to the greater universe outside of the planetary spheres, which is not quite as explicitly mentioned in, the symbols. The paint bled a little bit this year, but I think that things will be recognizable to those who work with the symbols or have seen this program. And the angel statue, as people are going to call it, is glow in the dark. There is, and this I just thought, blue was the color to have this one this year. And so things are open for you a little bit to use these things. And so the hoodoo section, as we're going to call it, because that's really what it is. You have our symbolic things that we use. We had our magical tools that we went over, and you may look at some of these things and give them your own meaning. You can do things on your own in your own way. And so I keep losing the thing there. 247. And for they, with a certainty about meeting their Lord, and to them they'll return. Or if you don't include the 19 letters that's in every chapter, we have Remember, O children of Israel, the favors I bestowed upon you and made you exalted among the nations of the world. And of course, the word nations does not mean Gentile, so it's not that reference there. Um, and well, there's a lot of stuff going on over there right now. 122, O children of Israel, remember the favors I bestowed on you and made you exalted among the nations of the world. Well, they were given certain opportunities. Um, well, now it's a different ancestry and it's a different religion than that was had back then. But I think our point can be made. 131, when his Lord said to him, Obey, he replied, I submit to the Lord of all the worlds. And one of the things working through the paths, we're kind of representing all the worlds. And obviously, the God of this world and age, we're not going over that Bible passage this time of now, is the real God. You know, we've been deceived by those who are saying otherwise. And 251, by the will of the great Apostle, they defeated him. David killed Goliath. Well, in the Bible, there's what, three Goliaths? But they sent out a big guy to fight, and it's not really an issue if you know what's being talked about. But people go, oh, there's more than one Goliath. It's like, yeah, one big galoot. Um, and astonishing gave him kingship and wisdom, and he taught him whatsoever he pleased. If the astonishing did not make people deter one another, the earth would indeed be depraved, but gracious is the astonishing to the people of the world. You know, not everything has to be hard, but one of the things that people refer to, I agree with Mr. VK Jehanam. I don't know, Mr.'s fitting for him, but you know what I mean. He says that Satanism is hard paganism. So 333, a causal chose Adam and Noah and the families, Abraham and Imran, in preference to others, you know, because they would carry out the mission. And of course, Adam means civilized humans, so that might imply that there was something before. 42, the light beings said, O Mary, indeed the causal favored you and made you immaculate and chose you from all the women of the world. Well, immaculate kind of puts a doctrine on it, but the term is more like, you know, kept her chaste. It doesn't actually say in the Quran that she went, or even the Bible text, does it? Does even the Bible try to say that Mary didn't go and conceive the regular way? At least not in the initial thing. So maybe they needed to put in something in a Pauline portion to make that point. And if Jesus was immaculately conceived, then God was not the father, because there would have been no father. It would have been a parthenogenesis sort of thing for real. Or to 96, the first house of the causal was set for people was at Baccha, the blessed, a guidance for the people of the world. Now, in this world, we have these psychological and sexual symbolisms in Mecca and some of the later places. And a current structure can be said to have formed about 10,500 BCE in that location. But you look at it, it's psychological and sexual symbolism that we are looking at in Mecca of Saudi Arabia. Baccha is its ancient Egyptian and Assyrian name. 108, these are commandments of the causal we recite to you verily. The causal doesn't wish injustice on the creatures of the world. So when we talk about culling or anything else, one of the things that we will be addressing is, it's not just trying to find it's not some satanic panic stuff of trying to find the most innocent person and such to inflict these things upon. It's, you know, it's chosen. It has a function to it. It's 520. Remember when Moses said to his people, "Oh, my people, remember the favors that the causal bestowed upon you when he appointed messenger prophets from among you and made you kings and gave you what had never been given to anyone in the world." Now, let us remember that Judaism and Christianity are not, then it talks about during the Holy Land and all that, but I, uh, Judaism and Christianity are not the faiths of the prophets they claim. Doesn't Matthew 7:22-23 mention that those who do things in his name, whether good deeds, healing, exorcism, these people don't work inside his law. And he never knew anybody like that. So, he knew that there was going to be people like that at some point. And 28, if you raise your hand to kill me, I will not raise my hand to kill you, for I fear the causal, the Lord of all the worlds. And of course, this was a certain special circumstance. Now we kind of know we can defend ourselves. And obviously, there's possible legal consequences, so we kind of want to avoid that. How are we going to accomplish things and leave our impact in the world sitting from a jail cell? 515, and said, a causal, I'll send it down to you, but if any of you disbelieve after this, I shall inflict such punishment on them as I never shall inflict on any other creature. And certainly we want to step away from being the ones who get things, but the spiritual laws are not as, kind of stay away from the millions of jurisprudence rulings, whether from the Muslims or the Christians or the Jews. If you want to look at what they have to say, just look at what they have to say and make your own conclusions based on the fundamentals. A real fundamentalist goes to the sources and makes their own conclusions. A liberal will drop off some of that or some of the tradition because of their own psychopathy or sociopathy. But, 645, thus were the wicked people rooted out of existence to the last. All praise be to the causal, the Lord of the worlds. And let us remember that there's an overall unity. As much as we can look at any particular manifestation or entity as a representative of this or that aspect. 71, say, should we call in place of a causal one who can neither help nor do us harm, like the angels and the saints, and turn back after having been guided by the causal? Like the person beguiled by the devils, who wanders perplexed in the wilderness, while his friends call him back to the right path, saying, "Come to us this way," say, the causal guidance is the actual guidance. And we've been commanded to submit to the Lord of all the worlds. Now, I know one of the satanic points is not to submit, but your own, your own actual purpose, as defined 2 verses later. And, well, if person's going to say the devils, well, what about those that they're being honest to, right? Ones that aren't, taking their sides or something. There's the dogma of Angramenu talks about the difference of the hell of the people that go there because they were bad Christians or something, and those who knew they were going there. 86, we gave guidance to Ishmael, Elijah, and Jonah and Lot, and we favored them over the other people of the world. So the person who really sees 90, those were the people who were guided by the causal, so follow their way. Say, I ask no recompense of you for this, but it is a reminder for the people of the worlds. Now, let us remember something about that is there's always the question when somebody's like, oh, it's their, you know, they're doing ritual for hire. They're a professional prophet. There's a pay tier to have access to stuff, right? I understand initiatic degrees and stuff, but you know, and as something that's often printed connected to Order Nine Ankles material, it's kind of antithetical to, make it a cause thing and to shut off the access to the satanic material, as they call it. Oh, 662, tell them my service and sacrifice, my life and my death, all of them are for the causal, the creator and Lord of all the worlds. And we definitely should look at the idea of making our entire existence something that is not mundane. 754, surely your Lord is the causal. Now, there's a meaning of a law as astonishing, so I'm saying that, and I'm putting that in this context so we can, you know, kind of reflect that more of its use in the context of this current. Who created the heavens and the earth in 6 spans of time, however number of billion years that is whatever's the case, that assumed all power. He covers it up with the day and with the night, which comes chasing it fast, and the sun and the moon and the stars are subject to his command. It is his to create and enjoin. Blessed to be the causal, the Lord of all the worlds. Now let us remember the gender neutral. Neither the Arabic nor what we're going across is limited to that. And some people are going to consider, like with our dark gods list and other ones that might be mentioned associated with that or whatever, we can look at, people want to balance. Some lists are going to be more one gender than the other. But when it comes to the ultimate causal, we're kind of going beyond that. 61. I have not gone astray, O my people, he said, but have been sent by my Lord, the creator of the worlds. 67. I am not a fool, O people, he answered, but I have been sent by the Lord of all the worlds. It's not just a causal entities, as it's called. There are people that become the forefront of operating the knowledge, operating the power, as it's called. 80. And we sent Lot, who said to his people, why do you commit this lecherous act in which none of the world has committed before? Well, it became a thing of the society because he, addressed it as a societal thing. 104, Moses said, O Pharaoh, I have been sent by the Lord of all the worlds. Our goals in certain things are beyond ourselves. When it comes to certain behaviors, they're only done for something more than just, a selfish interest. Hence that passage earlier about all your life, all your rituals, all your offerings. 121, and said, we have come to believe in the Lord of all the worlds. Now, one of the things that we should become more knowledgeable, more towards whatever, so we can refine what we believe and what we do as time goes on. 140, do you want me to seek for you, he said, a God other than the causal, when he's exalted you over all the nations of the world? Now, I know that's in the context of monotheism, but certainly one of the tasks is to seek out more of the cosmology than is initially apparent. So you may discover entities that have nothing to do with the lists that you see in any particular grimoire, or they exist there unmentioned. And that's a sign that you're actually having experience rather than projecting upon a particular list. 10:10, their invocation will be all glory to you. A causal and wholeness will be their salutation. At the end of the ritual, all praise to the Acausal, Lord of all the worlds. So we have different things. We may want to figure out how to greet people differently. We may figure out some sort of thing to repeat over and over again. People will repeat the names. Noctulius, Nithra, Shugara, Shaitan, Aosat, Azanagan, Nekala, Gawath Ambenan, Ath, Nedagan, Abatu, Karasamzu, Nemeku, Maktoran, Velpecula, Katana, Atazat, Vindex, Neptuna, Soroktanas, Naas, Alastaras, and, the daughters of Baphomet. Oh, if anybody knows the official list of names, just tell me. Because there's supposed to be a full 9, and I don't know the 9. 37. This Quran is not such as could be composed by anyone but the causal. It confirms what has been revealed before and is exposition of law without any doubt. It's from the Lord of all the worlds. Some people will look at the Devil's Quran or what Jason King has said and such, and in some categories, I guess you could say that. In other categories, it still remains. 1,204. Even though you ask no recompense, it's only a warning for all mankind. 2171. So we delivered him and Lot and brought them to the land we had blessed for all the people. Again, so if somebody's called ahead, whether it's a person or a nation, and they're given an opportunity, it's for all people. Recently reading about the Nation of Islam, Yaqub myth, as an interesting one here, right? 2171. Oh, we already did that for all the people. And 1,204, no recompense, only warning for all mankind. 21 also. 91, her who preserved her chastity and to whom we breathed a new life from us and made her and her son a token for mankind. Just because something's a sign doesn't mean it's not in the natural way. And certainly some type of purity in order to establish something, but it's not in itself the thing, whether you do something or don't do something. It's ultimately what it's for. 107, we have sent you as benevolence to the creatures of the world. It's not all dark and scary. I mean, there's certainly stuff that is, but we don't. Is it? Oh, 25-1. Okay, so we'll start with the 19 letters in the name of the Acausal, most benevolent, ever merciful. And then, verse 1. Blessed is he who revealed the criterion to his votary that it may be a warning for the worlds. And we got to maintain some sort of function for all this mythological material. 26:16, go to Pharaoh and tell him we bring a message from the Lord of all the worlds. Some people do need to receive things through others. 23, the Pharaoh asks, and what is the Lord of all the worlds? Because there's a lot of mythological things being stated. So you don't want to be so conservative that you have to and so, okay, I'm trying to figure out right here. 47. And we said, we affirm and believe in the Lord of all the worlds. Okay, so we have to, make a decision of what things are. There's all sorts of claims. 77, and yet they are my enemies, except the Lord of all the worlds. Well, especially when you have a bunch of entities connected to one particular cult and one group of people and all that. 98, and equating you with the Lord of all the worlds. You know, there is a difference between the entities that people are going to mention. 108, so be fearful of the acausal and listen to me. Where's it? Oh, 109. I ask no recompense of you for it. My reward is due from none but the Lord of all the worlds. And one of the points that I'm going to make with a later program is about these people. They want a show. They want this change of opinion and all that stuff. And it's not about the opinion of others. 127, I ask no recompense of you for it. My reward is due from none but the Lord of the worlds. And of course, when I get into this in the ritual itself, I'm going to be using Arabic and then Aramaic. We're going to go into that. And we're going to go into, well, biblical Hebrew is what most people call it because they can't read it. Armya is the English transliteration, and that doesn't pronounce as Hebrew, but we do have the word Hebrew exists, but that's not what the language is called. 145, I do not ask any recompense of you for this. My reward is due with the Lord of worlds. 164, I ask no recompense of you for this. My reward is due from none but the Lord of all the worlds. 165, why do you go for males unlike all the creatures? You want to be productive in life, right? 180, I ask no recompense of you for this. My reward is due from none but the Lord of the worlds. 192, and this is a revelation from the Lord of all the worlds. And yeah, there's quite a bit of references here, but wanted to do a complete representation of teachings. 27, 8, but when he reached it, a voice called out, blessed is he who's in the fire and all around it. Praise be a causal Lord of all the worlds. So there's an internal and external reality that we're working with. And 44, hence my talking about the paths in that way. She was invited to enter the court. When she saw it, she took it for a sheet of water and uncovered her legs, told her, this is paid with tiles of glass. O Lord, she said, I've wronged myself and I submit that the Lord of all the worlds was Solomon. And 28, 30. When he drew near, a voice called out to him from the tree on the blessed spot on the right side of the valley, O Moses, I'm verily God, the Lord of all the worlds. So the true God does presence in this world. 29, 6. He who strives does so for himself. Verily, the acausal is independent of the creatures of the world. And as much as there may be entities that manifest power and stuff like this, again, this is something beyond that. And we need to do our own effort. None of this vicarious claim, oh, someone else did something. And we can have reference and belief and use that, but it's not the same thing as our own deeds. Verse 10, there are among people, gender neutral here, those who say we believe in the acausal, yet if they happen to endure hardship in the cause of the acausal, they take oppression by people as punishment from the acausal, and if help comes to them from your Lord, they say, we were with you. Does not the acausal know what is hidden in the hearts of the people? Got to protect that inner side of what we are and what we do. 15, but we saved him and those with him in the ark and made it a sign for the creatures of the world. And yeah, there's always going to be reference stuff that form important lessons of remembrance. 28, and Lot, when he said to his people, you indulge in lecherous acts, which none of the creatures had done before you. Now, you can also interpret that as, you know, other animals didn't make it their lifestyle. Yeah, you see dogs and some other animals, but once they get a female of the species, they return to the normal course of things. 32, 2. The revelation of this book, free from doubt and involution, is from the Lord of all the worlds. And as much as you can compose your own records and all that stuff, it's important to realize a difference in something that you can, you know, keep things in. And if you have experiences, kind of try to keep them as is. I know it's going to seem like things have gaps. Those gaps may fill in later. 3779, peace on Noah among all people. 87, what do you imagine the Lord of the worlds to be? Now, people form all sorts of images in their mind or externally or something, and we need to remember that that's not it. 182, and all praise to the causal Lord of all the worlds. 38, 87. This is only a warning for mankind. Well, if we're not going to operate it, it may turn against us, or someone else may operate it that may not be on our thing. 3975. You will see the light beings hover around the throne, singing the praises of their Lord, and justice will be done between them equitably. And it will be said, all praise to the causal Lord of all the worlds. One of the things that we're going to find with some of that stuff is there's representations in some traditions of symbols to use around the throne and all that stuff. 4064. It's a causal who made the earth a dwelling for you, and the sky a vaulted roof, who fashioned you and gave you excellent form and provided you with clean and wholesome things. He's the causal Lord, so blessed be the causal Lord of all the worlds. And yeah, the atmosphere maintains itself. You would think it wouldn't maintain itself, but it's kind of closed in a way. He's the living. There's nothing to worship but it. Therefore, pray to him with obedience and all exclusiveness. Praise be to the causal, the Lord of all the worlds. Well, when you work towards the ultimate, any means along the way. Now, I know that Islamic belief is one way, but you can interpret this your way. Any of the means is part of that purpose. So it's all high magic, as it will be called. 66, same forbidden to worship those you call apart from the causal, and since the clear signs have come to me from my Lord, and I'm commanded to submit to the Lord of the worlds. And of course, as I've said before, if you agree or disagree with these, whether you admit it or you respond to them in a different way, 41:9, say, do you refuse to believe in him who created the earth in 2 spans of time and said it compares to him, the Lord of all the worlds? 43, 46. Keyboard got stuck a little bit there. We sent to Moses our signs to the Pharaoh and his nobles. He said, I've been sent by the Lord of all the worlds. And it's important to consider where the authority comes from. 45:16, we gave the children of Israel the book and the judgment and the prophethood, providing them with good things, favor them over other people. And by the book, they don't mean just whatever they have composed with their various versions or variants or whatever you want to call it, right? And 56:80, as I said, there's a lot of these here. It has been revealed by the Lord of all the worlds. Some of them seem repetitive, but the context will bring forth difference. Like Satan, who says to people, do not believe. And when he becomes a disbeliever, he says, I have nothing to do with you. A fear, a causal, the Lord of all the worlds. Now, in some mythological references, there's this switching of, well, what do you mean by God? And what do you mean by Satan and all that? So whichever side you could take with this, as I said, devotee, karcist, exorcist, it's open for the energy of whoever's using it. 68:52, part of a 2-verse, very important magic formula for people. Whilst it is no more than a reminder to the people of the world, some formulas are going to be for more than the person who has them. 69:43. Okay. It has been sent down from the Lord of all the worlds. 81:27. This is a reminder for the peoples of all the worlds. And 29, though you cannot desire except as the causal wills, Lord of all the worlds. So our opportunity is, of course, a limited endeavor, limited to what we can per se make the right decision for. It's not a sin if it's not a mistake, right? 83:6, the day all mankind will stand before the Lord of all the worlds. So there's an ultimate direction of these things, and might as well make our way back. Now, the book of Revelations may have been the first book in the Bible that was written, whether, of course, it was a rewrite of something more recent than the Gospel of John. But 21:16, and the city foursquare lies and the length so much that it is, and also the breadth. And he measured the city with the reed furlongs, 12,000, the length and the breadth and the height of it equal R. Well, sometimes you do have a person can have visions and stuff, and you do know dimensions of things. The greatness of space and all that. I guess it's important that I threw that one in there. Sometimes it's because of the particular word we're going to use. Ephesians 4:13. Until we may arrive all at the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of the Son of God, at a man full grown, and at the measure of the stature of the fullness of the Christ. Now, Christ, Messiah, Emmanuel, all imply sort of a becoming, a secondary figure. So a person becomes, and a person perhaps is the, if we're going to take this away from Greek, we're going to get into some interesting things that people kind of wish were not associated with some of this stuff because they, think it's some Christian doctrine that they want to support. But you have the intelligence of, the purity of. So the first person who brings forth the thing is called the Son. And so you established your greatness, as it's called. might as well start with Chronicles here. And so Second Chronicles 3:3. These were the dimensions Solomon established for the building of the house of God, its length in cubits by the former measure, and 60 at its breadth was 20. And then we go further on to the other dimensions, but we kind of make our point with that. And First Chronicles 28:15. The weight of the gold lampstands and their gold lamps, and the weight of the silver lampstands, and each lampstand and its silver lamps, according to the use of every lampstand. Ritual tools are very important. You should be able to use things the first time around, no special thing with people. Oh, people want to hire people and all sorts of stuff to take care of that stuff for them, but you can do that stuff on your own. Um, First Kings 7:37. It was after this manner that he made the 10 laver stands, all of them cast alike, of the same measure, the same form. One of the things that I do have in my rituals is I have vessels. Now, one vessel contains the bread items, particularly it has chocolate in it, I don't have milk chocolate, but as a representation of the blood and the flesh and all that. Well, I mean the flesh as and the red drink, which represents the blood, because it becomes you, and you dedicate your blood already through things, rather than the vicarious sort of thing. Um, and Ezekiel linguistically is an interesting book. Might as well go over Ezekiel in our order of references here. 40:16. The recesses and their supports had windows with frames on the interior of the gate complex. Oh, gates could be why I'm using this reference, the reference to gates. On both sides, in the interiors and the vestibules, and also had windows on both sides, and the supports were adorned with palms. 22, because each of these pathways is gates, right? Or windows, and the windows of the vestibule are also its palm trees corresponding to those of the gates that faced east. One had to climb 7 steps to reach it, and its vestibule was ahead of them. 7 stations of initiation, right? 24. And he took me to the south side. There was also a gate on the south side, and he got the same measurements as before for its supports and its vestibule. 26. Its staircase consisted of 7 steps. Its vestibule was ahead of them, and its supports were decorated on both sides with palm trees. 28. He now took me to the inner forecourt through its south gate. When he measured this south gate, it had the same measurements as the foregoing. Now, when we go over this, it's important to consider the process of initiation in a different way. Its recesses, its supports, and its vestibules had the same measurements. Both it and its vestibule had windows on both sides. It was 50 cubits long, 25 cubits wide. The vestibules on both sides, 25 cubits long, 5 cubits wide. 32. Then he took me to the eastern side of the inner forecourt, and when he measured the gate there, he got the same measurements. 33. Its recesses, supports, and vestibule had the above measurements. Both it and its vestibule had windows on both sides. It was 50 cubits long and 25 cubits wide. And 35, after 33 there. Then he took me to the north gate and found its measurements to be identical, with the same recesses, supports, and vestibules, windows on both sides, and a length of 50 cubits, width, and 25 cubits. What's the width? Okay, one of the things about the cubit, it's like the elbow to the fingertip, basically, or some people say 18 inches or some other measurement representing that. 4211. Likewise, with the passage in front, just like a complex on the north side, with which this one agreed, and its width and depth and the exact layout of its exits and entrances. And 46, 22. These unroofed enclosures, each 40 cubits long and 30 wide, were in the four corners of the court, and the four corners closures have the same measurements. One of the things that happens with these things is it's a process of representing the universe or something and presencing accordingly. 48:16, and there shall be its measurements on the north side, 4,500 cubits, on the south side, 4,500, and on the east side, 4,500, and on the west side, 4,500. So trying to exact the square is an important thing to work with here. I get confused sometimes the difference between the Protestant orders of the Bible and the others. Job. Okay, yeah, we'll save the last verse selection. 38:5. Do you know who fixed its dimensions, or who measured it with a line? So of course I'm talking about the dimensions. So dimensions, space, world, all these verses kind of connect into that theme. And 12:22 is our last selection. There may have been more on these subjects. I may have narrowed some down. Oh, this says the same thing. Although you notice that I did keep some of those. 12:22. He draws mysteries out of darkness and brings obscurities to light. Now, okay, there's obviously going to be a lot of content that I am going over, and how long the actual ritual takes will vary. You let it have its experience. We represent the seasons. We do something that perhaps can be, not limited to the seasons in its expression. And feel free to leave your comments of meaning and interpretation and response to any particular portion of this or what's been referenced. Gvops, lil, guf, hali, velo, teed, zelmski, ili, avivmas, and let things seep into the night. Do not banish what you have presenced. Allow yourself to experience. And be open to change.